Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and I'm here with a quick little card today. Hey everybody, so I'm using Jaded Blossom's mason jar dies, their Hello QT stamp set, and their tea dies, along with their clear jar coffee add-ons. And those are the images colored with Copic markers and cut out with my brother's Scan and Cut with a 0.4 border. Those were colored on Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock. I'm also using Doodlebug's Cream and Sugar 6-inch pad and their shape sprinkles in the rainbow hearts. So I went ahead and I took a piece of that Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock and I did some selective die cutting. So I cut the top and then I moved it down and cut the bottom, lining up the stitching. And I did that using my Gemini machine. Now I'm taking a blending brush and I'm just going to blend some Distress ink and tumbled glass around this jar just to make it look like it's glass. And like I said, I'm using a blending brush and I'm working on a Stampin' Up! Pad. There we go. So all of those Copic colors will be listed on my blog for those tea bags. Just some simple coloring done on those, nothing too crazy. I just did some dot detailing for the actual tea part of the bag. There we go. And I went ahead and I cut out the teapot border from the tea dies out of Nina Desert Storm cardstock. And then I went ahead and cut the layering teapots out of that same pattern paper, Milk and Sugar or Cream and Sugar from Doodlebug. And I'm just blending some Distress ink, that same tumbled glass around the edges, just to give it a little bit of definition. Now I have two other teapots cut out of other patterns from that same pad. All the patterns are coming from that same pad of paper, except for the rainbow petite prints. I do have a gingham linen strip that I use on this card. So now I'm blending some worn lipstick around both of these little teapots. There we go. How cute is that? I think they're super cute. And I'm going to add, now you'll see that I have a piece of paper that's little teacups, and that is 1/16 of an inch less than 2 inches wide. So it's just a strip. And I'm going to be adding some Kitsch Flamingo around the edges. Now I'm adding Kitsch Flamingo around this pattern that was also from that Milk and Honey, I keep saying Milk and Honey, Milk and Sugar, or Cream and Sugar pad, sorry, 6-inch pad. And I'm adding some Kitsch Flamingo around that and around the strip of paper that I'm going to use on my card base. So there we are. I love Kitsch Flamingo, it's so pretty. There we go. And I'm just adding that along this gingham linen 1-inch strip of paper that I'm going to be using on the front of my card also. So easy stuff. And I'll just put that off to the side once I get my ink blended on there. Make sure everything looks good. So easy stuff. Now I'm going to be grabbing my Falling Heart stencil from Jaded Blossom and the Tailored Expressions 6-inch blending masking stencils. And I'm using the largest circle, and I'm just going to tape that down sort of as a spotlight on my card using some purple tape. And I will ink blend in from the edges with some Kitsch Flamingo. And I'm just trying to give a light, just a light coat of this Kitsch Flamingo around the edge. And then I'm going to slip in that, what's it called? The Falling Heart stencil. I'm going to slip that in behind there, and I will be a little bit more heavy-handed with those, just so you know you get some obvious little hearts in this little spotlight. So there we go. Easy stuff. Now this card base is an A2 size vertical card, 4.25 by 11. Scored at 5.5 piece of paper tray ink white cardstock. So now I'm adding in my 1/16 of an inch thinner piece of pattern paper, and then I'm just going to trim off the overhang with a pair of scissors. So I'm kind of making like a little, I don't know, like a little niche to put my jar in. That's what I'm going for. Now I'm just going to blend in some of that Kitsch Flamingo from on the bottom edge now, because I did trim those off. And there we go. Now I'm going to add in my piece of gingham linen, that's 1 inch. And I'm just going to use my, the graph lines on that Stampin' Up! Pad just to get this strip straight. And I'm using ATG tape again to stick this down. So I'm just trying to make sure that this is nice and straight. There we go. So easy stuff. And then I'll go ahead and I will trim off the overhang with a pair of scissors. And you notice that was a scrap that I'd actually stamped on the back of and messed up, but no one's going to know but you and me. There we go. So perfect. And now I am going to put together my little jar. So I'm going to add ATG tape to the back of this little fabric piece. It's a mock fabric piece really for the top of the mason jar. But, you know, fun. I love to use plaids for this. It just always looks cute. And now this is a piece of silver foil cardstock. It's American Crafts Christmas foil pad in 6-inch. And I just used a silver piece to cut out that little jar topper with my Gemini machine. All my die cutting is done with my Gemini machine. All my fussy cutting is always done with my brother Scan and Cut with usually a 0.4 border, although sometimes I do cut on the line. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to get this in place. I'm just trying to decide where that's going to go. And I'm going to add that little pile of tea bags in the bottom of this mason jar. Now, the reason why I made the mason jar a little bit smaller was because I wanted it to look like it was fuller. The mason jar is a lot taller than this, so I just wanted to, you know, make it a little bit closer. So now I am bringing in the T for 2 stamp set. And I'm going to stamp the sentiment on the front of the card with the T for 2 stamp set. And I'm using You're My Cup of Tea. And I'm going to stamp that with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, using my Misty just to make sure I get a good impression. Especially because you're taking a risk, right? You're stamping right on the card base after you've kind of put some of the card together. It's always risky. So it's good to pull out your Misty when you're doing something like this. And now I'm just going to add my stamped sentiment. Try not to press too hard. And there we go. Perfect sentiment. Now I'm going to add in this adorable mason jar die onto the front of my card using 3M foam tape. So easy stuff. And I will trim it in half to add a strip on either side just to, you know, fill in any of my gaps. Because, you know, I like to use a lot of foam tape. That's how I roll. There we go. I love the tea dies. So those little teapots, the little banner with the teapots, I just think is adorable. So I think this is the first time I'm actually using this on a card. I'm not sure why I haven't used it yet because it's super cute. There we go. Peeling off the back, and then I will get that in place onto my card base. There we go. Now I'm going to be adding in that little teapot, but I'm first going to, because I'm only using 4 of these teapots, I sort of trimmed it off. There we go. And I'm going to pop this up across my card base there. And I will pop it up above the mason jar. At first I don't do that, but I do add some more foam tape to make it a little bit higher. First I glue this one down, then I realize that it's kind of bumpy because it doesn't measure up with the jar height. So I just have to do some tricky dimension adding. So there we go. And I went with the Nina Desert Storm because all that you're going to see is the string in between, and it kind of echoes the brown that I used for the tea bags, so that's why I went with that. So now I am going to get that little tea bag in. I'm going to stick that behind the mason jar, sort of covering the bottom side of that circle that I don't want showing. And there we go. And now I'm going to add in my little teapots, alternating colors. And I'm using Art Glitter Glue. It's just in a little tiny bottle. And I'm just going to add those on. And how cute are they? And these patterns, like I said, are from that same Cream and Sugar 6-inch pad from Doodlebug. So easy stuff. There we are. I just think this is just an adorable little die set. I love it. There we go. And we'll stick these other ones down. Trying to be as quick as I can. There. And this was a really easy card. Like coloring the little tea bags, they were super simple. You know, everything about this card is pretty darn easy. You're just really doing some layering and that's about it. There we go. How cute is that? So now I'm going to be adding in the little shape sprinkles from Doodlebug and the rainbow hearts. And I'm just adding little white hearts to the center of each teapot just for fun. There we go. I think that looks so super cute. There we go. Now I'm going to be doing some stamping because I'm putting a couple of scrap pieces of paper on the inside of that card. And I'm just adding them, like I said, to the inside of the card from that same pad. And I'm going to stamp the sentiment on the inside from that stamp set Hello Cutie. And I'm using the Thank You for Your Generosity. Kind of a play on words, kind of fun. And then I will go ahead and layer these 2 pieces of paper on the inside of my card. So like I said before, lining it up with the graph, and then I'm going to use my ATG tape to stick everything down, and then I'll just trim off the overhang. There we go. So this is a nice, pretty polka dot. This is the perfect way to use up little scraps of paper from your pads. And then there is the sentiment. Thank you for your generosity. Jaded Blossom always has the cutest little sentiments to go with stuff. I love their sentiments. They're always kind of quirky and fun. They have the traditional ones too, but you know, every once in a while you get a funny sentiment from Jaded Blossom that just makes you crack up. There we go. And now I'm going to be adding on some Nouveau Crystal drops in Simply White because you know that's my fave. And I'm just going to add a few, you know, sort of straddling with what I've got going on in an odd number. I think I put 5 actually. They're kind of my favorite thing. I love Nouveau Crystal drops. Just keep them warm before you apply them and then they'll dome nicely. I had a little air pocket in that one. You don't want any bubbles. There we go. And then I'm going to add a few more so I have a total of 5. And then I think that will end this card video. There we go. How cute is that? Super cute stuff. Now I'm just going to tap them to make sure they dome okay, which they always do. Like I said, as long as you keep them warm before you work with them, it's fine, depending on your climate, right? And there we go. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jaded Blossom blog and maybe get some more inspiration and over to their store and maybe get your hands on these awesome products. Thanks, everyone. See you soon in my next video. Bye.